Did you know that in addition to the 5 plus magnitude earthquake recorded on Jamaica mainland in 2023 as well as 1993, we had one also in 1988? I came across this in a paper by Margaret Wiggins-Grandison, the former head of the earthquake unit of Jamaica. This was also mentioned by Rafi Ahmad in his 2001 earthquake preparedness paper. With my further reading, Rafi Ahmad mentioned that the 1993 earthquake epicenter pinpoints it to Silver Hill, Portland. My check on earthquaketrack.com pinpoints the epicenter of the 1988 earthquake closer to the peak of the Blue Mountains. No mention was made as to the focal depth of both the 1993 and 1988 earthquakes. When I looked at the locations of the 1988, 1993, 2023, and the 2024 earthquakes, I see some things that are interesting. Firstly, the 1993 earthquake location, the epicenter, is pretty much behind a hill that is adjacent to the earthquake trace or the fault trace of the 2023 5 plus earthquake epicenter. The 1988 epicenter is pretty much like between 8 to 15 kilometers south of the November 28, 2023 4.2 magnitude earthquake. Could it be that it is the same fault lines or fault zones that are responsible for these magnitude earthquakes? Another thing to consider is that while as geoscientists we may use surface maps to trace a fault line, as we are seeing based on the geodetic data, we can see where the rupture zone or the source of the earthquake is beneath the surface. So, while let's just say for the October 2023 earthquake, based on my plotting on the map, it runs a length of approximately 5 to 7 kilometers. Having mentioned that the 1993 earthquake is pretty much behind a hill, and that too would have taken place in terms of the focal depth underneath the surface, it could be that the same fault line extends further. This mention of mine indicates the complexity as it regards to having a degree of accuracy in the context of a fault line and the extent at which this fault line can actually pose some form of hazard to the neighboring population. For geoscientists of the past who have mapped this area, there are those among them who would say that these faults are small faults, and in that context, the likelihood of these faults producing a big one in comparison to, let's just say, the Planting Garden fault or the South Coast fault zone is relatively small. What it is that I am now saying is that we have not done any form of subsurface mapping to really map the extent of these faults, especially these faults that I'm talking about here that have produced the magnitude 5 plus at least 3 times in the space of 35 years within the Blue Mountains area. We do not know how far these faults actually extend beneath the surface. Keep in mind that what it is that we are actually seeing on the surface could just be the surface expression of minor faults within these fault zones itself. So on that ground, it is me saying that there is a degree of ambiguity in those statements made by fellow geoscientists who have done surface geological work or others within this area. Before I run, some auxiliary points. September 21st, 2023, a magnitude 4.9 earthquake took place approximately 5 kilometers west of Hope Bay. I situated at Black Hill, Portland. October 30, 2023, the main shock, magnitude 5 plus, situated in Albany, Portland. October 30, 2023, the aftershock, magnitude 4 plus, situated in Fruitful Vale, Portland. October 30, 2023, magnitude 4 plus, situated approximately 5 kilometers southwest, Port Antonio. Following my plotting on the maps, what I potentially see is the same fault line rupturing from Albany to the Fruitful Vale. I can also see the same fault line rupturing in the Port Antonio case, which connects to that of the Black Hill earthquake back in September 21st, 2023. This highlights the potential stress connection between these faults, whereby the rupturing of one triggers the rupturing of another, whether it be in its fullest extent or partial. Extrapolating this reasoning further indicates that faults throughout the eastern portion and potentially throughout Jamaica have the potential of being active, and even more so have the potential of producing moderate size and bigger size earthquakes. Research, continuous research, especially subsurface research, monitoring the faults and studying the faults is very important. Similarly, public awareness as well as public adhering to the tips or the best practices shared by geoprofessionals and others is very critical.